everyone, it's Monica, and welcome back to Tailor-Made Cards for You. Well, today is the second day in my birthday celebration series, and I'm using the cute little Tim Holtz bags that I featured in the intro as my inspiration. I started out using some broken china distress ink to cover the surface of my card. Many times when I'm creating my cards, I am going for a grungy look, so I don't mind the harsh lines when I'm adding my distress ink. To give the card a little texture, I am adding some texture paste. But I'm also adding some of the distress ink to give it some color. This is an easy technique that you can use with most of your inks. You can use it with your distress crayons, any of your inks, or anything that is wet. You don't want it to be too moist though, because then it will dilute your texture paste. Once I'm happy with the color, I brought in this stencil that has lots of dots, and I'm using a key card from a hotel to spread my paste. You've probably seen me use this technique before, and it's one that I really think works well for me. Next, I'm adding some Lindy's Magicals to the base of the card. This is a dry powder substance that when you add moisture to it, it reacts. It also has a little bit of shimmer to it, and that's something that I really love to use on the top of my cards. Now there's a couple of techniques that you can use when you're using these Lindy's Magicals. The first one is to simply add a little bit of moisture with a paintbrush, and then using your paintbrush, just brush over the powder. Now this technique does give you a little bit more control in adding your color. The second technique that you can use is to spritz the powder using a spray bottle. This will give you a little bit more random of a pattern rather than the controlled pattern using the paintbrush. I really like using the random technique, especially when I have texture paste, because you can easily move your card around and have some of those water droplets run between your texture paste, and it creates a great random pattern. Now once my background is completely dry, I am going to come in with a background stamp to give my background a little bit more interest. This is another technique that I use often. I simply take an oversized stamp, it could even be a small one for that matter, and hold it in my hand and add the stamped images randomly around the background. By holding it in your hand rather than putting it on an acrylic block, you can control the amount of ink that goes onto the background, creating a more vintage, distressed, grungy look. Remnant rubs are another product that work great to create backgrounds. They can help create very random backgrounds and will work for most any type of occasion card. So after I finished adding my remnant rubs, I did come in with some peeled paint distress ink. I wanted to add just a little bit more green to the card. And then to highlight the edges of the card, I added some walnut stain distress crayon. Now when you're working with distress crayon and doing this technique, your fingers are going to get very dirty. So you're going to want to make sure that you clean them up really well before you start working with your white cardstock. Alright, so now that I'm finished with my background, I did want to create a focal point. This gentleman is part of an old sticker collection I have from the Tim Holtz collection. If you don't have this sticker selection, you could easily use one of the images from his paper doll collection. And because this is an old sticker set, I wanted to make sure that the adhesive would stick to the card. So I did come in with some Distress Collage Medium to help adhere it down. Now one tip that I will give you that I've noticed with some of my cards is when I am creating mixed media cards, there is a lot of weight to the base of the card that you're working with. So not only do I use adhesive to adhere it to my backdrop, but I also come in with some brads to help hold it in place. I think it's because there's so much medium on these cards that you really need the extra support to keep it in place. So at this point my card is complete. Hopefully you've enjoyed the second video in my birthday series. Now don't forget, in order to qualify for the drawing at the end of the month, you do need to be a subscriber, and you also need to leave me a comment on all 5 of my videos. I will be giving away one of those cute little Tim Holtz bags, as well as another prize that I plan on introducing later on in the series. Now don't forget to give me a thumbs up on my video, and be sure to check out my blog, as I also have some giveaways going on there as well. Alright everybody, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.